Thank you for coming today. I think you're in for a really inspiring morning. How many of you play a sport? How many of you have ever played a sport if you're not currently playing one? How many of you play an instrument? Wow. How many of you are involved in choir or theater? Thanks. Performing arts representing. Thank you. How many times when you were doing one of these activities have you ever had a day where everything was going the way you wanted it, you had your best performance ever, and you felt you were on top of the world? Hopefully we have some more hands. Those are the moments you wish you could savor forever. So how many of you have had times when you were just exhausted, nothing was going the way you wanted it to, your body ached, your mind wasn't in it, and you just wanted to give up? I think we've all had those moments. Those times when we think that we would have been better off not even starting, where we are defeated the moment we get out on the playing field, the track, the stage. I'd like to say that in all these moments, whether it is sports, music, on the stage, or any other hobby, they all help us learn valuable life lessons about commitment, perseverance, and the importance of never giving up. This past summer, I decided to begin training for my first marathon. 13 miles was the longest I had done previously. What's another 13.2? Out of all those weeks of running, there was one particular run that stands out. My first 20-mile training run. We were set to do 4 of them, and this was the first. It was 4:30 in the morning. I stepped outside of my house in darkness. The rain was coming down as my running partner walked up to meet me. We briefly considered not going because of the weather, but then quickly decided we didn't want to do it tomorrow and headed out. What's a little rain? We slowly get out of the neighborhood and the sky opens up. Literally started downpouring, lightning and thunder. Seriously, my first 20-mile run and this happened. We decided to stick it out. It should pass. And we trotted on in the torrential downpour as flashes of light crossed the sky every 5 minutes. Side note, I don't condone running in rainstorms. By about mile 5, the rain subsided. Awesome. Running in soaked clothes and shoes should make for an eventful rest of the run. At this point, I am feeling pretty good, thinking about how my husband should be bringing us some water in time for the turnaround at 10 miles. As we approached the 10-mile mark, I remember thinking, wow, we are really far from home, but was still hopeful for that water break. At this point, I'm looking directly at every car, getting really excited every time I spot a car that looks remotely like mine. By about mile 14, I gave up hope. Water was never coming. Despite multiple attempts to flag trucks and random cars down to ask for some water, no success. I realize it's going to be a long 6-mile zone, but I better just dig deep and suck it up. Mile 18 is a nice, steady incline, and at this point I'm ready to walk the rest of the way. I mean, really, why am I doing this? It poured the first part of the run. I hadn't eaten or drank anything, tired, quite frustrated, and I had already done 18. But there was some little voice within that said I needed to keep going and I could finish this race. I may have had to stop and walk a little, but when we ran into the final stretch of our neighborhood, the feelings of relief and joy overtook me, as I knew I had just pushed through one of the most challenging runs in my life. Fast forward through the rest of my training. It would have been easy for me to dread the next 20-mile runs that came my way. It would have been easy for me to walk or to not take the training seriously, but instead I used that training run as just a very small piece in my quest to successfully run a marathon. I quickly realized that there were going to be challenging runs like that one, but there were also going to be a lot of amazing runs. Thankfully, many of those amazing runs were a result of the person who's going to speak to you today. You see, training for a marathon really can be like a guide to life. There are always going to be runs, situations in life where you don't feel adequately prepared, where you want to rely on someone else to see you through, where you feel you have lost control or just want to quit, where your mind will think of every excuse possible to quit. But ultimately, it comes down to the will, determination, and perseverance within you to get it done. And it is in these moments where you feel discouraged and in despair that you must search deep within and find the one thing that keeps you going: hope. Hope is the optimistic attitude that believes that anything is possible. BethAnn Telford would add to this statement that anything is possible if you never, never, never give up. BethAnn Telford is one of the most inspiring individuals I know. Someone whose level of commitment to anything she undertakes is always at the highest level. Someone who perseveres in the face of any adversity thrown her way. Someone who understands what it's like to endure struggles and hardships, yet even through those hardships is constantly thinking about how she can help. Someone who gives with all of her heart because she genuinely cares about others. And most of all, someone whose strength and courage inspires those around her to be a better person. Born June 14, 1969 in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Telford, as the United States Government Printing Office Special Events Coordinator, is responsible for planning, coordinating, managing, and executing the special events held by the Public Printer of the United States. Telford has 15 years experience with government administration. She joined the GPO in 2002 as the Executive Assistant to the 24th Public Printer of the U.S. She is currently the Special Events Coordinator under the Office of Public Relations. Prior to her work at the GPO, Telford worked under the Chief Administration Office, servicing the U.S. House of Representatives. In addition to her work in the government, since her diagnosis with brain cancer in 2005, Telford has dedicated herself to helping raise awareness of brain cancer and toward finding a cure. Working with the National Brain Tumor Society and Accelerate Brain Cancer, she founded Team BT as part of Race for Hope, a run walk held every year in DC, in which she has helped raise more than $350,000 for brain cancer research. She was the #1 fundraiser last year. In addition to fundraising, Telford has testified before an FDA committee on the benefits of advanced drug therapies and became an advocate through lobbying Congress as part of the National Brain Tumor Society. She also has 2 National Brain Tumor Society grants awarded to the Cleveland Clinic and the University of Florida in her name. I am honored to have trained for my first marathon with this amazing brain cancer fighter and survivor, and I'm honored to introduce you today to my dear friend, BethAnn Telford.
Good morning, everyone. There's lots of you out there that I think know me from past years, and I'm very excited to be here today to talk to you, especially on this great stage that you can't take it with you, I think is the name of this. Yeah, you guys. So I really like the name of that play, and I would really like to come see it. But I think they were trying to tell me more about this play. But when I thought about the name of the play, it reminded me of when I was told I had brain cancer, and you start thinking about things you can't take with you when you're told you only have so much time left in life. And think about that. I was diagnosed in 2005, and you have possessions. I have a home in Pennsylvania. I have jewelry, you have cars, so forth and so on. So I'm thinking, is this what that play is about? And it was totally opposite of that. But when you hear that, it's kind of like you can't judge a book by its cover. So what a great idea. I can't wait to see that play. But this is kind of a great little picture of me. I'm an events coordinator for the United States government under the President of the United States for one of the cabinet members, and that's a picture of me in the auditorium. If you could flip to the next one. Meredith told me this year is about perseverance, so I wanted to tell you according to me, and I'm really not anyone, just like one of you guys. According to me, perseverance is a purpose, especially in spite of difficulties or discouragement. Now for me, I have a lot of difficulties. You look at me and you think, gosh, how does this chick up here have cancer? You know, long hair, thin, in athletic clothes, running marathons, triathlons, so forth and so on. Well, this chick has brain cancer, and pretty severe. And this chick, just a couple months ago, February 27th, had a brand new bladder put in her body. Nowhere to lie. My bladder shut down due to the fact of my brain tumor not telling my bladder how to work. So 2 years prior to right now, my bladder was just going, pumping and pumping, to the fact that then my bladder gave out and I was either urinating myself or I wasn't urinating at all. So you think, you know, I'm a single girl, so if anyone needs a prom date, I look pretty cute in a dress. You know, it's embarrassing. You know, I have to scope out where bathrooms are, so forth and so on. So to the point where the doctor had to, one, put a pacemaker. Now you think pacemaker, you put it in your heart. My pacemaker is right here. And that pacemaker helps my bladder pump. Well, we tried that for a year, and it didn't work. So what they did is they opened my stomach, probably about, you know, almost a foot, the cut is, and they put a whole new bladder. They took my intestine, and they took part of that, took it out, and built the bladder from the intestine. So I'm only like a month into it right now. It seems to be working well, but right now I'm learning how to eat again, just like a baby is. So I'm losing weight. I'm down to 93 pounds. I should be at 112, 115. So this is all news to me. So even with these difficulties, I'm out here trying to fight for brain cancer, brain tumors. And I know for a fact there's people out here in your crowd, amongst your senior class, that also are fighting brain tumors, brain cancer with family members. They don't need to stand, they don't need to raise their hands, but they are here with you as well, and I'm fighting for them because I know who they are. Could you flip to the next one? So, a couple brain cancer statistics. They strike everyone. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, children, black, white, Asian, no matter what you are, you can get a brain tumor. Brain tumors are the second leading cause of death of children under the age of 20. So imagine that, under the age of 20, that's you guys. So it's the second leading cause of death. There's 120 different types of brain tumors. More than 600,000 people in the United States are living with them. And only 1 out of 3 adults diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor today will live for 5 years. So, 2005, do the math. I am a book up here because I'm living 8 years. They don't know how I'm doing it. I have Dr. Henry Brown out of Johns Hopkins. He's wonderful. He's written a couple of papers about me. So anyone that wants to go in the field of medical, you should read them because he's just amazed, but he attributes it to all of my workout. So it is kind of amazing that I'm beating this only because of the way that I've been training, not by eating, because I'll tell you, before the bladder situation, and Meredith can tell you, I lived off of Slurpees at 7-Eleven and a bag of hard pretzels. That was my meal. And I could get through a marathon with a bottle of water, 1 bottle. Can you do the next? Okay. Some symptoms of brain tumors. I live with seizures on a daily basis, so I seizure. I haven't had a driver's license for 7 years, so I have a driver that takes me places. A high grade of headaches, which is a migraine. Personality or memory changes, vomiting and nausea, vision changes such as blurred vision or eye weakness. After my first surgery, I've had 2 full brain surgeries, so I've been cut from ear to ear. And just so you know, all this beautiful hair is not real. Half of it is fake. So I did lose all my hair at one time, and then I paid to have it. I guess you call it sewn in. And I did lose my left eye to the first brain surgery. So pressure or headache near the tumor site, loss of balance and difficulty with your motor skills, changes in your speech, hearing, memory loss, or emotional state. That really affects me by the end of the day or later in the speech. You'll start to hear me stutter. And then perception of touch or pressure. A lot with me, I bruise easily, or you touch me, I could fall easily. And there's a lot of other different symptoms. Depends on what kind of tumors you have. Next, please. there's a lot of treatments and research out there, and then there's a lot of people that call me up and say, please try this, Beth, drink this concoction or witch's brew, you're gonna live, you know, all these great things that people want to say to me. And so MRIs is the best diagnosis. You know, if you're continually having headaches, please suggest an MRI to your parents. That's the best way. They can include surgery, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy. Most people don't know very much about brain tumors, and it's the lack of knowledge that sometimes leads to a delay of diagnosis, and unfortunately that leads to a fast death with brain tumors because they come on so fast and die. Which brings me to a family story. I was diagnosed in 2005, which you were told, and I said as well. Next year, 2006, my cousin, who was a senior, was diagnosed on a Wednesday. He was headed to Juilliard. How many people know about that school? Musicians out there. And he died on a Friday from a brain tumor. Brain tumor research has ranged from new therapeutic targets in laboratories, treatments through clinical trials, all types of research for patient care. NIH is very good right here. Being right here in the Northern Virginia area, we're very lucky to have Johns Hopkins, Georgetown, the National Institute of Health. We're so lucky. For you guys, because you're at that age, under 20, you guys go to Children's Hospital. For me at my age, I go to Johns Hopkins. There's an age difference for brain tumors, what doctors you would see. But we're so lucky to be in this area for great doctors. Okay. Myself, let me just tell you about how I was diagnosed. I was running the Marine Corps Marathon in 2004, which is right downtown in Washington, D.C. And I was coming around mile 19, which is Haynes Point, and a huge pop in my head. And I was running, and you usually run in a straight line unless you're turning a corner or you're following the rest of the crowd. And my gait, which is your run, started to get really sloppy, and I couldn't focus. And I finished the Marine Corps Marathon, went back to work the next day, but started running into furniture that had been there for years. Didn't remember dates, didn't remember appointments for my boss, and I was one that had to do all of that. Didn't remember contributions to campaigns, didn't remember telephone numbers. Very important stuff was just wiped out of my memory. Hearing balance was gone, and I was slurring words to the point where people thought I was drinking, and I wasn't. I mean, I was on my job. I thought I was fine. So I was diagnosed that winter, 2005, with what was called a meningioma, frontal lobe right behind my left eye. And the tail was wrapped around the major blood vessel to the brain. And no one really wanted to operate because the major blood vessel of the brain, you cut that, that's it, you're gone. So I traveled over the United States and met a bunch of different doctors, and the only one that would operate was Dr. Henry Brehm out of Hopkins. And what he did is he just shaved away enough to take the pressure off my head, and enough that I would be able to continue my runs and get back to hopefully normal life. But he did warn me that there was 90% chance that I would never be able to run again, and walking in sight would probably be very difficult. Another thing that happened to me, being a woman, was they took my pituitary gland, and if you know what that is I'll never have children. So to this day, the reason why I fight so hard, and you'll see it, is I fight for children, because I can't have children. So the second leading cause of death is brain tumors. So I fight for kids because I can't have kids. And I tried to adopt, and they won't let me adopt because I seizure. So that being said, that is my main focus in my advocacy, is fighting for kids. I had my first surgery April 12, 2005, and so I consider that my birthday now, not June 14th. My second surgery was right around Christmas in 2007, and I fight now day to day on my terms, not anyone else's, not even the doctors. And I have a big team of doctors. And like I told you, I just had a brand new bladder put in February. So now I'm working with that. And for a whole year, I can't do anything. And the biggest thing was just yesterday, and I know you all know, and you don't live in a hole, you guys all have these great devices. Yesterday was a huge day for me, and it started out very tough, because my name was all over the board in Boston. And I stand here in my Boston jacket, and this is yesterday's Boston jacket. This is yesterday's Boston clothes. Because I went up there a couple weeks ago, right after my surgery, and got my Boston clothes. And you know what happened yesterday in Boston? It was horrific. I was able to qualify through all my cancer treatments and through therapy, thanks to one of my caretakers who's here. He ran right beside me, and we qualified, and for the last 3 years, we're able to run. I was to be there yesterday, and my qualifying time was at that time, right when those bombs went off. No word to lie. And my bib is still up on the site, and it says that BethAnn Telford has not finished yet. So today I ask that you pray for those people, and what's very sad is a child died, 8 years old, a little boy. And what's really sad about that is I fight for those kids. And damn it, I don't know who did this, but it's terrible because that kid will never run. And these kids come out here to watch people like myself and so many others. 27,000 people come out to run. And I don't know if you knew anyone that was running that race. It's the most prestigious race for us runners to try to qualify. Miss Norris and I had a friend who just qualified for that race. And another thing that is so crazy for me is where that bomb went off. When I went up to get these clothes, I walked into that store where that bomb went off, and I purchased 10 shirts that said City Sports, which is the name of the sporting goods store. And it says City Sports Boston. And I bought them for Miss Norris, her children, and my girlfriend that qualified, and her sister. And I wore that shirt yesterday and gave them all their shirts because we're planning to go there next year. But who knows what's going to happen next year? It's horrible what we have to go through to do. And I just, today's the day, Virginia Tech, just after you get out of here. And I know a lot of you are affected too by that. So I just don't know. You can go to the next one. So my accomplishments, this is where my perseverance came in. Because again, I did these all not as winning or being on the podium. To me, I was winning in my heart for the children that I ran for and raising the money. I ran Marine Corps every year since 2003, and I ran it even the year after my surgeries. I did not miss a year. I do hope to be in it this year. That's my goal. Doctors say no. BethAnn is on her terms. She's in it. I'm running. I completed and finished the Lake Placid, which is in New York. If you remember, the Olympics were there in 2008 and 2009, the Lake Placid Ironman, and I couldn't have done it without John, who is one of my best friends and caretakers. He was right at my side. I do have to tell you, he had a panic attack in the water. Lost him in the water and only caught him at 52 miles into the in the bike division, not run. So he caught me after 52 miles on the bike It's a 112-mile bike. I qualified and ran the Boston Marathon. For 4 years I qualified, and yesterday I didn't run. But I was watching every bit of it. And very sad to say that I didn't get a medal yesterday, but here are my 3 medals from the previous year. And I do hope to be there next year. Miss Norris is going to be there, and our friend Sarah, who was the one I got the clothing for. But again, this is my clothing for the 2013 since I'm a qualified runner and my name is up on the board. And the most awesome thing that I've done in my life, and the biggest thing that I'm proud of, is what I did just in October. It's called the Ironman World Championships in Kona, Hawaii. This is awesome to me. I don't know if anyone knows what it is, but this is where the athletes that are very well known come out and they do a 2.4-mile swim in the ocean, 112-mile bike, and then they do a 26.2-mile marathon all in one day. And you have to qualify for this, and it's only the top people in the world. And I got picked through a world, it was called Kona Inspired, and thousands of people entered this contest. And I got picked. There was only 8 people picked. When I got to Hawaii, I found out that I was the #1 choice. And it was thanks to people like some of your parents that chose me. People from all over the world chose me for my video. And I finished this in 15 hours. I was covered by NBC, ESPN, Bleacher Sports. You can go to my website and see the coverage. It was great. The best part I can say about it is after I got out of the water, the swells were 20 feet. And I got sick in the water when I got on my bike. And if you know what a triathlon bike is, you're in the aero position like this. So I was on that bike for 112 miles. So the first 2 hours of the bike, I was throwing up, the salt water. Well, NBC was right beside me. They followed me the whole way. So the guys from NBC, you got a guy driving the motorcycle, another guy doing the filming and talking to me. And this is the best thing. There's 2 things about this. He says, "BethAnn, would you wipe your face? You've got throw up on the side." I said, "You've got to be kidding me. Come on, please, And then at the very end, I was coming around the finish line, and they're like, "Beth, can you hurry up?" And I'm like, "No, I want to go, another 10 miles. Because I had 2 more hours on the clock. And they said, "Please, we're done with you. We've had enough of you." Because they were with me all day. And I was just having so much fun and having the kids with me. And you'll see at the very end a flag that I had with me. And this was a hope flag that I carried over the finish line. On this flag, it had hundreds of names of people. Some people in the school, their names were on, that had brain tumors or who lost their battle to brain tumors. That flag was in Boston yesterday with my girlfriend, who was only yards from the explosion. And yesterday, that flag covered a man that unfortunately suffered hypothermia, who didn't finish the race. So the flag didn't go over the finish line, but the flag did cover a man with all those names, and it's a beautiful picture. I wish we would have had time to show all you guys. But all these kids covered this guy that had hypothermia. But this is the best medal that I have out of the thousands of medals I have. It's so heavy, but this is my Kona World Ironman finishing medal. And it's just awesome, this medal. So that was my biggest accomplishment to date. This fall, I want to do the Marine Corps again. But apparently, I'm supposed to be going out to San Diego to scale down a 50-foot building or something. I don't know, someone put me on the docket for that. So I'm excited about that, so we'll see. You can hit the next one. Okay. So fundraising, I did a lot with the National Brain Tumor Society celebrating brain cancer cure. Last year I raised $105,000, more than $400,000 to date. I have 2 chairs after me, which Ms. Norris told you. I have 2 grants. Every year I do the Race for Hope. That's my biggest fundraiser right here in DC. It's a great race up to the Capitol and back from Freedom Plaza. I also do the one in Philly because my home state is Pennsylvania. Last year I won the Community Leadership Award for United States. And we do the Trackathon every year here. And one year you guys did the night of free theater here. And we always do Chick-fil-A because the little kids love that. If you can go to the next one. And this is my finishing photo. Now, check out the face. I am not in any pain whatsoever. That is not pain. I am crying. That is all tears of crying. And that is me. And this is how NBC, ESPN, and all the news media tracked me. That was my tracking device. I didn't have it on in the water, of course, but as soon as I got out of the water, they put that on me, and that was me in the flag, and that's me coming over the finish line. And lastly, this is what it's all about. This is my motto, right here. Never give up, and that's perseverance right there. And that and hope, which is tattooed on my wrist. So I wish you guys all luck because your next step in life is huge. You're going out of your house to college or wherever you decide to go, maybe take a trip to Europe and backpack or whatever. But I wish you luck, but I hope you come out to the Trackathon and support brain tumors or whatever cause. But I wish you guys luck, and thanks for taking the time to listen to me.